In this video, I'm going to be explaining the Keynesian aggregate supply curve simply. First up, some basic information about this model. There are three distinct stages. Stage 1 is the horizontal section of the curve. Stage 2 is illustrated by the bend here, and stage 3 is this vertical line here. More on these stages later. A key assumption to the Keynesian AS diagram is that wages and prices are sticky. This means that the price level will never go down. To simply illustrate this, I'm going to ask you a question. When was the last time you saw on the news that the minimum wage was to go down? Well, the answer to this is never, as nobody in their right mind would be willing to accept a lower wage even when the economy is in a recession. And the diagram has got no long-run self-correction. As John Maynard Keynes would say, in the long run, we are all dead. Moving on to section 1 of the curve. Section 1 of the curve represents a recessionary gap. And as you can see, the UK economy in February 2024 fell into a recession after people cut spending. And the spending is illustrated by aggregate demand falling from 81 to 82. And as a result, the real GDP falls from YP to Y1. A fall in aggregate demand like this will result in increased unemployment or, in severe cases, mass unemployment. And as we fall deeper into section 1, unemployment increases and the economy will have a lot of spare capacity and unutilized resources that could have been put to use, but which they are not. And even if the aggregate demand falls further, the price levels remain the same at PL2. And only a fall in real GDP is experienced, resulting in a larger deflationary gap. And this is due to the wage inflexibility of resources in the economy. The same recessionary or deflationary gap can be illustrated using a PPC diagram, as resources are underutilized, shifting from A to B. Moving on to section 2. Section 2 is where all economies aspire to be, as section 1 here is deflationary and section 3 here is inflationary. Section 2 illustrates the approach to full capacity. At this stage, the economy will experience resource bottlenecks. This occurs when specific factors of production become scarce, slowing down production and forcing up costs. And this will cause inflationary pressures within the economy. And Y max here is the absolute physical limit of what the economy can produce. This is the equivalent of all resources being utilized effectively and efficiently. For example, every employable person is working and no more raw materials are available. The specific point a government targets within the stage 2 depends on how they prioritize the trade-off between economic growth and its inflationary pressure. The move towards section 2 from section 1 to moving from B to A on the PPC diagram. Now moving on to section 3. This is when an economy experiences an inflationary gap as the physical limit of production has been reached. All factors of production has been utilized, so there is no additional capital, land and labor left, resulting in zero spare capacity. So when the aggregate demand increases from 81 to 82, there will be no additional real GDP and only an increase in the price levels. This is when the economy is heating up. And an example of this is Australia. So in this section, we look at shifting the Keynesian AS curve in the long run. Please be reminded that this long-run diagram is simply showing economic growth and not a return to equilibrium. So this shows an increase in capacity of the entire economy. So as the economy shifts from AS1 to AS2, which is a rightward shift, the real GDP will increase from Y max to Y max 1. with no changes to the price level. And this corresponds well to the PPC diagram when the PPC shifts from PPC1 to PPC2. When an economy experiences this, there will be non-inflationary growth and potential in the economy. Moving on to the drivers and implications for the shift. The first factor is the quantity of factors. This is an increase in the physical amount of resources, such as a larger labor force or newly discovered raw materials, which directly expands the economy's production capacity, shifting the AS curve to the right. Next is the quality of factors. These are improvements in the productive resources, such as better technology or a more educated workforce, allowing the economy to produce more output with the same inputs. And lastly, supply-side policies, which is the government intervention such as investing in infrastructure or reducing business taxes. And supply-side policies are designed to increase the quantity or quality of the factors of production, thereby driving long-term economic growth. I hope that helped. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye-bye.